Hello and all. Welcome to another episode of MMA Analysis. This one we're talking Israel Adesanya. His recent remarks on being moved to Fight Night instead of being on a major card on pay-per-view. We're going to talk about the comments of the last style bender, Israel Adesanya, add our own comments. Before getting started, make sure to like, subscribe, click that notification to get all of this that is new from this channel, your channel, the one and only MMA Vision Analysis. To be fair, it was up until I read this headline that I truly realized that Israel Adesanya, the last style bender, is fighting on a quote-unquote fight night. I've actually said it time and time again, and I do digress a bit. It's a bit off subject, that fight nights a lot of the time hold way more entertainment value than some major cards. It kind of makes sense if you think about it. A lot of the guys, I'm talking about not the main event, obviously always the main event for fight nights, it's going to be known characters that could actually fight on main cards. But usually the guys and gals that fight on fight nights are upcoming fighters that are willing and ready to prove themselves. So that's why you see a lot of knockouts. If you missed the last fight night, I believe it was December 14th, the one that was headlined by Kobe Covington, Buckley. That card had a ridiculous amount of finishes. I mean, and you can just go back to like the last 5 or 6 fight nights, and you would see that the entertainment value on those fight nights, it's just, it's a lot of bang for your buck, sort of say. And in all honesty, up until I saw the headline, as I said, is when I realized that Israel Adesanya is fighting quote-unquote fight night. Now, personally speaking, I don't care. The guy's a headliner regardless. I believe if you take everything into consideration, you would see why the placement of this fight is the way it is, right? He's headlining at the end of the day, and he's headlining a Saudi Arabia fight night. So for those that are not aware, Saudi Arabia, Turkey al-Sheikh, those guys are throwing some of the biggest events the world of combat sports has ever seen. I mean, if you missed UFC 306 Sphere, if I'm not mistaken, that was kind of sponsored by Riyadh Season. So were many of the mega boxing fights that have been happening lately. All of those have been funded by the same person, pretty much, Turkey al-Sheikh. Whether we're talking about Anthony Joshua, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk 2, whether we're talking about Dubois versus Anthony Joshua, we're talking about Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou. I'm not sure if the Ngannou fight was part of the Riyadh Season. Generally speaking, those guys from Saudi Arabia, they're throwing a ton of money on these events, and just because it's a fight night, don't get it twisted. This is going to be one of those fight. I mean, Robert Whittaker, Hamza Shima, if I'm not mistaken, they just fought in a fight night. That was that a Abu Dhabi card, if I'm not mistaken? Close in proximity to Saudi Arabia. But different sponsors, obviously. But we're talking about Saudi Arabia. We're talking about Turki al-Sheikh, the guy that's been funding so much of what we've been seeing in the combat sports world, especially 2024. The biggest event that was that impacted the UFC was UFC 306 at the Sphere. My personal opinion, that, and I watched it on TV, was one of the most spectacular events I've ever witnessed. So being on a fight night is not such a bad thing when the sponsor of that fight night is Turki al-Sheikh. So this is going to be a legitimate fight night. That being said, obviously Izzy's not bothered by it. Personally, I didn't notice until it was brought up, in all honesty. This is not to disrespect Izzy. This is to add legitimacy to the sport. Obviously, Izzy lost his chance time and time again, and he has to work his way back up to the top, and he's no better than anybody else. And at the end of the day, he's headlining that card that's going to be in Saudi Arabia, uh, where Turkey Al Sheikh is, and we all know how those events are put together. So this is not going to be your average fight night. And like Adesanya said, it's not going to be at the UFC center, right? It's not going to be one of those like 35 people watching. No, this is going to be in an arena. It's going to be legit. If you made it this far, appreciate you for sticking around. Please let me know what you think in the comments and like, subscribe for more.